What is up, my friends? How are you guys doing? I want to go ahead and share another story with you guys today. Things kind of slowed down a little bit, and I haven't been putting that much content on this channel. We've been a little bit busy. So I think this would be a perfect opportunity for me to get this little story out there. You all have already heard my first near death experience, and I'm sorry to say, but it didn't end there. That was not my final near death experience. I'm not going to recap that whole story, but very obviously, I hung myself with a belt, took a little trip over to the lower astral realm, hung out there for a little bit, came back, bada bing, bada boom. I was resuscitated from death. And I was a little bit irritated, a little bit pissed off. I was like, man, you know what I did wrong? I did it while somebody was at the house. That's where I screwed up. So I started planning. I got to do it right this time. This was in November 2014 that I had the first one. And December, January, February, March, April. 5 months later, in April 10th, 2015, I had been planning and planning. The only problem was that I was a single parent. I had just left my first wife in 2013. So I had been by myself as a single parent for a little over a year. So I had my two kids at the house. I was like, I cannot like do this while they're at the house alone. They were like 2 and 3 at the time. They could burn the house down, go running out into traffic, like, how am I going to do this? And I thought, I think what I can do is I can contact the police department on Facebook. I can write them on Facebook, you know? So planned and planned and planned. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So I went home one day. I don't remember what made me decide today's the day. If I remember correctly, it was a Friday. You could probably look that up. I could be wrong, but I believe April 10th, 2015 was a Friday. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So I was at work. I worked as an airplane cleaner at the UPS World Hub in Louisville, Kentucky. So I cleaned airplanes. I cleaned the UPS planes. I would, put on a harness and go up in a bucket and hang over top of these airplanes and scrub them. And that's what I did all day. And I just remember hanging over this airplane thinking, today's the day. I'm doing it today. Enough planning, enough fantasizing, enough thinking about it. I'm doing it today. Today's the day. And I did. There was like at that point, when you reach that point, it's like you go numb, you know? There is no emotion of any kind. There is no sadness, there is no anger, there is no emotion. There's just numbness. It's like I'm out of here. Deuces. So I got home, and at the time I was living next door to my mom, and they watched the kids while I was at work, or my brother or somebody would. And then when I got home from work, I would come get the kids and then take them next door to the house I was living in. And so I got the kids good and fed and sitting down watching TV, doing something to keep themselves occupied. And I went into the kitchen, and just to make sure I couldn't be resuscitated, I decided to take every pill in my cabinet. I didn't think that was enough to actually kill me, but I figured that if all that was going through my system and I was already dead, that you wouldn't be able to revive me. Like that would make sure that I stayed out. Apparently that didn't work either, but so I went down. I didn't remember, I mentioned from the first time I had a cellar. And this was a strange house that I lived in. It was a weird, old, creepy little house. and there was this door in the floor. And this door was heavy. It was probably 60, 70 pounds. And it was hard. You had to pull real hard to lift it up. And so the kids couldn't come down there. They didn't see anything that happened. But I went on ahead down there. And after I ate probably 3 bottles of prescription medications, antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, whatever I had in the pill bottle in the medicine cabinet. And I went down there and I took my little iPhone 5S and I pulled up the New Albany Police Department and I wrote them. I said, "My name is Richmond Lopp. This is my address. You need to come get my kids right now because I'm going to kill myself." So I had to have somebody come get the kids. I had to, you know. And on Facebook, where I don't think it does it anymore, but back in the day, it had the little picture, and it would go bloop, and it would drop down to see that they viewed it. And as soon as I clicked it, I saw it went bloop, and they viewed it. So I threw my phone down in the dirt and put the belt around my neck and dropped. I was out like instantly. Now, unfortunately, this wasn't as profound of an experience as the previous one. It was just the most peaceful. That's not even the word for it. The most peaceful sleep you have ever had in your life times a million. So peaceful. My next conscious memory. You ever have this thing happen in the morning where you kind of like wake up, but your eyes are still closed and your alarm clock hasn't gone off yet? You know that feeling? And you feel your brain wake up, so you're aware that you're awake, but your eyes are closed. That's what I thought was happening. My next conscious memory, I come to consciousness with my eyes still closed, and my first thought is, damn, my alarm hasn't gone off yet. Shit. Okay. Well, maybe I'll just lay here and just wait for my alarm to go off, because I thought I was waking up in the morning to go to work. And I'm like, shit, I'm cold. Shit, I'm cold. Why am I so damn cold? So I start with my eyes closed, reaching for a blanket. I'm looking for a blanket, and my nails dug in the dirt and my eyes snapped open. And I went, what in the hell am I doing down here on the dirt floor? I had no clue what I was doing there. I mean, my memory had been completely erased. And then right about that time, I heard boom, 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 boom. And I went, what is that noise? And I rolled over on my back and I saw the belt tied to the rafter and the buckle had snapped off. The buckle, this big, thick belt buckle, snapped. And then it all came rushing back. And I was like, oh no, are you kidding me? And then I knew what happened then. I was like, oh my fucking God. And I was so embarrassed, dude. I was like, no, there is no way I just lived through this. There is no way I just lived through this. And I stumbled upstairs, embarrassed. Oh my God, I was so embarrassed. So embarrassed, dude. And the whole New Albany Police Department was at my front door. Like, I'm pretty sure every damn cop on duty in the city was outside my house that day. And I told them what happened and whatever. And they to x-ray my neck and make sure I didn't break any vertebrae. And then they stuck me in a mental hospital. And I stayed there for a month. And I was pissed. I was mad, dude. I was so mad. I was like, now the first time, that was on me. I was stupid enough to, try it when somebody was at the house. But this time I have been planning and planning and planning and planning for months and months. 5 months I've been planning this. And you gonna tell me the damn belt buckle broke? It broke? Since when does a belt buckle that thick? I wish I had a belt like that. Those belts that you get and it's like they have the 2 holes in them all the way from one end to the other. It's not one of them little belts that just have like 5 holes on the end. It's like all the way from the buckle to the other end has 2 holes going all the way down it. And they got them big, thick buckles. You know what I'm talking about, right? That's what kind of belt it was. That's how big and thick that buckle was. And that you gonna tell me the damn thing broke? There is no way that metal broke like that. I was pissed. And then I can remember about 2 weeks into my stay in the psych ward that I was in, I just kept it just kept calling to me louder and louder and louder. I'm not allowed to leave. I'm not allowed to leave. At this point in time, like I told you in the first video, I was a pretty profound agnostic, but I was much more leaning towards atheism, you know? I just didn't know what to believe. I mean, I had certain days where I believed this and certain days where I believed that. I just didn't really know. I was very confused, you know? But so at the time, it's not really like I believed that I was here for a reason. Oh no. Oh no. But at this point in time, it was the first time that it was just like, I'm here for a reason. Like, I can't imagine what in the hell a damn reason would be. You know what I'm saying? This doesn't make any sense, but I'm not allowed to leave. And after I sat with that on my mind for a month, I haven't been suicidal since. Now, I mean, oh, trust me, I've had thoughts of how bad this life sucks, you know. But when I say suicide, most people I don't really truly think understand what really being suicidal means. It's one thing to sit around and think about it. It's one thing to get depressed. You know, it's one thing to be going through challenges and struggles and just wishing that there was an easy way out and fantasizing about it. That's one thing. I get that. But I'm talking when you are like not just thinking about it, you're seriously about to do it. Like that's a whole other fucking state of mind, you know? And that disappeared. Poof. And even after I got out of the mental hospital, um, I went homeless. I went homeless after that. After I got out of there, I mean, that year, 2015, is when everything crumbled to the ground. You name it, it all crumbled to the ground. Everything. And I ended up going homeless a few months later. I ended up, you know, with nothing to my name but a couch cushion and a blanket. And that's what I slept on up under the Court Avenue Bridge in downtown Jeffersonville, Indiana. And of course, a lot of y'all know that story anyway, so I'm not going into that. But the point that I'm making is even when I was living under a bridge and diving in dumpsters to try to find a half-eaten sandwich, I wasn't suicidal. You would think that if I was ever going to be suicidal, it would be then. No, it went away. It went away. That damn belt buckle snapping like that, you know, and me living through that. Because that's another thing I was thinking about too. I was like, man, I just made shit worse. I just made it worse. Living through it and living through the embarrassment and having to deal with all the people acting like they're feeling sorry for me and shit. I didn't want nobody's sympathy, you know? It was embarrassing. I didn't want nobody to know. Nobody knew about it. That's another thing. That's another thing too that I don't think people really fully understand. When you're really there, you ain't gonna tell nobody. You want nobody to know that. Why would you tell people? You know, all they're gonna do is lock your ass up. That's all that's gonna happen. Like if you go around saying, I'm gonna kill myself, I'm gonna kill myself. Like, if you're really trying to kill yourself, you ain't gonna tell nobody. Come on now. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. Everything changed. Everything changed from that point forward. But again, it wasn't really the most profound experience in the world. It really wasn't. Or maybe it was, and I just don't remember it. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how long I was out. I have no idea. I don't know. But boy, it was peaceful, man. I'm gonna tell you what. I felt like I was waking up out of the most peaceful sleep I ever had in my life, dude. I'm gonna tell you what right now. But yeah, it all changed from that point. And that was that, like I said, that was the year that everything was ripped away from me, everything crumbled to the ground, everything crashed and burned. And then that was my rock bottom. That was rock bottom for me that year. 2015, I guess you could call it my dark night of the soul. I don't like that phrase. I don't. But if that's, I guess, what it was, you know. And yeah, so ever since that year, suicide attempt, got stuck in a mental hospital, went homeless and lived on the streets for 6 months, and then turned myself into a homeless shelter and just slowly started climbing, and have not looked back since. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that little story here on this channel. Because, like I said, the content kind of slowed down for a few days, and I didn't want to keep y'all waiting too long. But thank you all for tuning in and listening to me blab and run my mouth. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Y'all enjoy the rest of your night.